Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, celebrating 48 years on the radio for 2 more days because Friday is August 1st, and that'll be the beginning of the 49th year of this radio program on the radio in the state of Florida. 49 years starting on Friday. So that's very, very exciting. And yeah, I know. It's amazing. Since August 1977. We've got a lot to cover. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to bring up some things here in the beginning. President Trump had some epic and quite unusual press conferences yesterday. I'm going to play later in the program some highlights of those different press conferences. And I love how he handled the press yesterday, too, in these press conferences. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. But there's some other issues that I'm going to bring up. One of them is from the press conference. President Trump dropped something big yesterday on Epstein. I'm going to go over that here in the beginning, and I am taking calls on that, okay? Anything I bring up, we take calls on. But I do want to give you a bit of a disclaimer before I take the calls, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes before I go to the phone. So if you're on hold, hang in there. So I'm going to start with what happened in one of the Trump press conferences yesterday when Epstein came up, because very interesting what he said. We got some more insight and details as to why President Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, and we've got a lot of other things to cover on the program as well. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll get to the call shortly. Now, this is from ABC News that I'm sharing. I'm going to read through this article as opposed to play the parts of the press conference right now, but I may play it later. But this is from ABC News. And by the way, if you want all of my show prep, all the news I've gone through in the morning, go to my X, Brian Craig Show on X, and all my show prep going back, I don't know, over 10 years is right there. All right, I post everything to my X. Okay, so ABC News, here's the headline. Trump says Epstein stole Virginia Giuffre and other young women from the Mar-a-Lago spa. Okay, and this is how we found out about what Epstein was up to. President Donald Trump said on Thursday that Epstein stole Virginia and other young women who worked at the spa in his Mar-a-Lago club here in Florida. President Trump said, this was in one of the press conferences yesterday, quote, people were taken out of the spa, hired by him, in other words, gone, Trump told reporters on Air Force One as he returned from Scotland to Washington, where he continues to face fallout from his administration's handling of the files related to Epstein. And other people would come and complain. This guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that, Trump continued. And then when he heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here. Okay. Trump was then asked if one of these women was Virginia, an Epstein accuser who died in April. ABC News previously reported she had accused Maxwell of recruiting her when she was 17 years old, working as a locker room attendant at Mar-a-Lago in 2000, and bringing her to Epstein's home. Maxwell denies those allegations. So Trump was asked if she had worked at Mar-a-Lago. He says, I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah, he stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, none whatsoever, Trump responded. This is ABC News I'm reading from. The comments appear to be the most detailed Trump has made publicly about the circumstances surrounding his fallout with Epstein. Okay, so let's talk about this. And if you're on hold, stand by, and I will take calls on this. Young people, teenagers work jobs like this all the time. When I was a teenager, I had jobs where I clocked in and clocked out. Very normal, especially here in the great Florida weather. So this gives us more detail But it's the same story we've always heard from President Trump. When he found out what Trump was up to, what Epstein was up to, Trump got rid of him. And the people he was hiring away were the teenage girls. And Trump said, enough of that. You're out of here. Don't come back. We're kicking you out. So Trump did the right thing. Right? I mean, he did the right thing. Now, I want to say a couple things about this and the files. You know, this whole mythology and legend have been created about these files, and they just don't exist in the way that people are fantasizing they exist. There's no list like you think, and there's no and I mean, look at what's happened here in the last few months. President Trump released unredacted all the Kennedy files. My entire life, all I've been hearing about are those JFK files. He released them early on in his second term, so it had to be 2, 3, 4 months ago. And I have not heard any of the conspiracy theory JFK people. I've not heard any of the historians that have covered this. Nothing has come out of those files. And it's been months because there's nothing in the JFK files. But there was this entire legend created around them. About a week and a half ago or so, the Trump administration released all the Martin Luther King files. Now, like President Kennedy, I believe the U.S. government killed Martin Luther King. I believe J. Edgar Hoover and others in the government killed Martin Luther King. And while it wasn't as big of a conspiracy around King's assassination as President Kennedy, it had always been talked about. Very weird things with James Earl Ray and everything. And it's been a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. I can't remember the exact day, but it's been around 10 days to 2 weeks since the Martin Luther King files were released. Have you heard one thing come out of the Martin Luther King files? Nada. Nothing. And for those that are younger that haven't been around during these Kennedy and Martin Luther King conspiracies, the last 50 years, so much has been dedicated to these things. And we finally get the files that everyone said would answer everything, and there's nothing in them. The Epstein files, you're going to find a similar thing for a number of reasons. One is this, and there are going to be others other than what I'm mentioning. This is just off the top of my head. One, if it's true that Epstein was working for the CIA or Mossad or both, and he was running an operation, a blackmail operation, the files aren't going to show illegal blackmail criminal activities. When people are doing crime, they don't put it in files that when they're not around anymore, people can go and access. They just don't do that. So that kind of thing's not going to be in there. Let's say that whether or not he was working on his own to get clients for the financial investments, or he was working for the intelligence agencies, and he had all this incriminating material on influential and powerful people, you're not going to find that in the files either. Because that information, if it existed, videos, photographs, audio, if anything like that existed, the deep state took all that to either destroy it to protect themselves and their allies, or to use it as blackmail material against these powerful people. So, these very disappointing JFK and MLK files show you what happens. Criminals do not document their crimes. And the deep state, their blackmail material is in safes deep underground that no one will ever have access to. So there's been so much of a legend, a myth, and a buildup around these files and this list. You're never going to get that. It doesn't exist. Another thing is this. People that are all about this issue, the Epstein issue, they're never going to be satisfied. Right? They're going to go down a rabbit hole no matter what comes out, no matter what's said. There's always going to be a rabbit hole of a deeper conspiracy beyond what's ever released. They're never going to be satisfied. And another thing is this. A lot of the people that are obsessing on Epstein don't care about Epstein. They'll deny this, but they don't care. They hate Trump, and they see it as a way to smear Trump and turn public opinion against him. So there's a psyop going on with that. Now, there's probably other reasons too, but that's that. Now, I will take calls after the break on this, and I got a lot of other issues that I'm going to get into on the program. This was in one of President Trump's press conferences. This came out of the Air Force One press conference yesterday, what I just shared. And I might play the audio later, but you got the jet noises and everything. You'll hear it better just me reading what I just read than playing the actual audio. Now, I am going to take calls on this when we get back. So if you're on hold, hang in there. But there is one disclaimer. The word pedophile is not to be used, all right? For a couple reasons. It's not an appropriate word to use on the show, okay? So don't use that word. And number two, it's an inaccurate word anyway, because that refers to much younger people than we're talking about. Not that Epstein wasn't a creep and what he was doing was criminal and wrong, but it doesn't fall into that category. The category would be much younger children. But that word is not allowed, okay? It's on the list like with the profanity words. So, and so I think that's a reasonable ask from me and a concession for you to make. Now, I know a lot of you are out of control and you're obsessed with that word for some strange, perverted reason, but the P word is not to be used, okay? That's it. I do want to tell you guys, though, about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, who's just incredible. It is hurricane season in Florida, and we've had so many people that are new to Florida in the past 5 years that may not have experienced hurricane season. When we get tropical storms, okay, when you get a storm rating, what they give you is the storm is rated based on the sustained winds. So in a tropical storm, while it's not a hurricane, you still get, oftentimes, hurricane strength wind gust. And boy, oh boy, you'll know it when that happens. If you have a lower category hurricane, like say you get a Cat 1 or 2 hurricane, you're still going to get 3, 4, and above wind gust. Like a Cat 3 and a Cat 1 hurricane, you can get wind gust that are 2, 3, 4, and even 5. So, people that are new, they don't understand. And your first line of defense when it comes to protection during a hurricane is your roof. What tropical storms are looking for, the winds, they're like a predator. They're, when I mean a predator, they're like a predator trying to break into your house, because the winds are trying to break into your house. And what they're looking for is an entryway. And if you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you got a leak in your roof, that means you've got a loose shingle or a loose tile up on your roof. That could be the entryway during the storm to get into your house. And once those winds invade your house through that loose shingle, that loose tile, or whatever other type of roof you have, that's it. It's off to Kansas. That's it. See ya in the Bahamas, okay? Because that's how you lose the roof. So if your roof has loose shingles, loose tile, and is leaky, you're unsafe during a hurricane. I'm here to tell you. Give Tom Laporta a call at Laporta Roofing. He's a good MAGA guy. If you need a simple repair, he'll do it. If you need a new roof, of course he'll do that. He works on every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal. He works with every type of roofing material. He also can handle the job of any size, whether it's one building, one small home, or a community that has over 300 units. Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing can help. His website is LaportaRoofing.com, LaportaRoofing.com. Or you can call or text him directly on his cell phone, which he gives out only to our listeners, 954-604-4602. He covers the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. This is Steve Kane Show. Back after this. right, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to go to the phones after the break. But again, that is the rule. You cannot use the P word, all right? If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back in about a minute. All right? We'll be back in about a minute. I will go to the phones. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, all right? Less than a minute, we'll be back. I'm answering my text and DMs. Those of you that send me DMs on things, I try to respond to as many as I can. If I don't get to all of them, I do read them all, but I can't always get to all of them. So a lot of times you see me here. Sometimes I'm texting with Mike, the board op at the radio station, but a lot of times I'm answering DMs on X, on Instagram, and stuff like that. I try to answer as many as I can. If I do them during the shows, during the break, a lot of times you guys will DM me live. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. If you're on hold, stand by. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I will take the calls, but the rules that I laid down, which I think is a very fair rule, I am going to enforce that, just to let you guys know in advance, all right? Okay, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Okay, they gave up. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Brian. This is Josh again.
Hey, Josh, hold on one second while I answer all these lines. What's on your mind, Josh?
A series of facts about what you're talking about here.
Speak up a little bit if you don't mind. Could you speak up?
A series of facts about what you've been talking about here a few minutes. Basically, Trump has been denying any connection with Epstein this entire time, and now a connection is popping up. We basically known that Trump's been friends with Epstein since the 80s. And now he's trying to say he didn't know the man and blah, 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 and he only kicked him out.
See, you confuse all kinds of things. There's a difference.
No, this is Trump's own words.
Well, hold on.
2002,
Excuse me. Listen to me for a second.
That, we're friends.
Excuse me.
He likes them young, too.
Excuse me. Let's talk.
These are Trump's own words. I'm not confusing anything.
Are you gonna well, I can't say anything because you won't stop talking with your narcissistic arrogance.
You're trying to say that
if you're not gonna stop talking, listen, to participate in the discussion, you have to take turns. Okay? By the way, how old are you?
How old do I sound?
I don't know. I have no idea. That's why I asked. How old are you?
Old enough to remember Trump's own words.
Okay, so you don't want to die. You want to lie about your age.
All over the
one thing I've learned. One thing I've learned. I don't know how whatever how old you are.
Right.
With some of the younger callers to the program, in particular those that are Gen Z, you guys out there listening may notice that when I'm talking to some of the Gen Z age callers, that the conversations are very bizarre. They don't stop talking. They constantly interrupt. And what's happened is that generation has not lived in an area where they've learned conversation. They've done all their communication through text and DMs and other bizarre things without in-person conversation. They don't use their phones to talk on. So they don't even know how to have a conversation, a lot of the Gen Z callers. That's why I asked. But anyway, back to this. See, I'm not done. I am not. I know you're not going to respond to that point. That was not a point for you to respond to.
Okay, well then why are you saying I don't know how to conversate?
I didn't say you. I didn't say you. I didn't say you. I was talking. I was talking to the audience, not you. No, I was talking to the audience.
I am way older than you.
I was talking to the audience, not you, and I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about Gen Z. Okay, but you
were comparing my conversation style to Gen Z because you believe I was not letting you speak.
Well, you're still not, but I'm letting you.
No,
I am letting you speak, but I'm going to let you go, and you won't be participating if you don't let me speak. See, what I do know about you.
Donald Trump himself has said he was friends with Epstein.
This is your final warning. This is your final warning. I want to have a
discussion. You're not going to address what Donald Trump.
All right. No, I'm not going to address a rude person that won't stop talking. See, what I was going to say to him was this. That guy obviously is a man with very few, if any, friends at all because of his winning personality. And he doesn't understand the difference between friends that are real friends and acquaintances, okay? And if you're a normal person out in the world, you have a lot more acquaintances than you do friends. I know a lot of people. Hundreds and hundreds of people. But they're mostly acquaintances. My real friends, I don't know if I counted them, if I made a list, it's a short list of my real friends that really know me. Then there's acquaintances, okay? So President Trump never denied that he knew him. And a lot of times people say they're friends, but they're really acquaintances to be polite. He never said there was no connection. He said when he found out, he's been vague about it in the past. He said when he found out about Epstein, he kicked him out. Now we got more detail on it. And this goes back to what I said at the opening. I said, these Epstein-obsessed people will never accept anything. It will never be enough. No matter what is released, no matter what is said, no matter what comes out, they'll always go deeper into a rabbit hole and say, no, we want more. So there's no satisfying these people. It's literally impossible. But I want to tell you guys this. I was talking earlier, it's hurricane season, which is also rainy season. Oh, man. You don't want to be out on the road with tires that don't have proper tread on them. I used to. Before I found Friendly Tire in Margate, I was driving on tires that I shouldn't be driving on because tires can be expensive, but not at Friendly Tire in Margate. At Friendly Tire in Margate, you can get brand new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire. Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, or even dispose of your old tires. So when you call Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire and you get a quote over the phone, That is out the door and on the road. Okay? Yeah. And by the way, as low as $75 for new tires out the door and on the road, those are that's a common size that's on some of the most popular cars on the road today. So give Friendly Tire a call. All the cars in my family are on the road on tires from Friendly Tire in Margate. My daughter just drove back from California on Friendly Tire tires, from LA to South Florida. And she's been driving on those tires. She was in LA for 3 years, and she drove across the country, and I looked at the tires because I said, you know what, you drove all the way here from LA. You've had those tires for 3 years. Let me take you to Friendly Tire. And she doesn't need tires. Isn't that something? Yeah, they're great tires, too. He has all the name brands you know and love. Give Mike a call at Friendly Tire, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. Now, I want to tell you guys, if you want to get a good night's sleep, get yourself a 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. You know, you can get a 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper with my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, at mypillow.com for 30% off. I've been sleeping on my MyPillow mattress topper, as has my wife next to me, for years. I get about 4 hours of sleep a night, between 4 and 5 hours, depending on what night of the week. You know, what the MyPillow mattress topper does, it turns your entire bed into a big MyPillow. So that 4 to 5 hours of sleep I get every night is deep, well-rested sleep because of that mattress topper. You know, it comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee, a 10-year warranty. It's machine washable and dryable, and it will change your life, let me tell you. You know, when I was a kid growing up, and I know a lot of you are old enough to remember this, you used to be able to flip mattresses. Remember that? Remember the days when you could flip a mattress? You'd have a mattress, and then, you know, for whatever reason, it got lumpy, lopsided or something, and you'd flip it over, and then it was like having a brand new mattress. Well, years ago, the mattress companies, they got real wise to that. You can't flip mattresses anymore. It's like a box spring underneath, right? So if you've got, and mattresses are expensive. If you have a lumpy, bumpy mattress, a lopsided mattress, or think you need a new mattress, go to mypillow.com. Get your 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. It comes in every mattress size there is. Use my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, and get 30% off. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. All right, we'll be back shortly, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. Now, do you guys agree with me, though, about you got to take turns. You just can't not let me talk. I let you guys call in and speak. You got to let me speak. And the constant interruptions you just cannot be allowed. So we're going to teach Gen Z how to have conversations. We're going to have to. Someone's got to. Because their parents obviously did not. We'll be back in less than a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll go to the phones when we get back. Exactly. There's got to be back and forth. And calling in does not mean I'm hiring co-host, okay? This is a bottom of the hour break for the radio station. We'll be back in 30 seconds. And I've got I'm not going to talk about this the whole show. I've got a lot of things to cover, which I'll get to as we go on. Stand by. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll go back to the phones, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Jerome from California. How you doing, Brian?
All right, Jerome.
Hey, you doing good? You hanging in there?
I'm always doing well. I'm always.
You
I'm.
banned words on your show today.
Well, see, on the radio, there are restrictions to certain languages and everything else, and it's not a big ask. You know, you got there's rules in society, man.
There's rules in society, right. But there's no rules for the elites, though, right? We're in agreement for that?
There's lots of rules for the elites.
Really?
I mean,
You defended a hebephile.
Okay, so you're
You're
using...
defending a hebephile.
There you go. You got a new word. You know, there's something about you...
It's the accurate
Excuse me.
description,
See,
right?
here goes back to the conversation problem. You know, there's a thing about you... what's your name again? I forgot your name.
You can't even remember the people you're debating, can you?
You liberals sound all alike to me. I think it's Jerome is your name.
You sound the same.
Well, you have to remember one. No, I don't remember everyone who listens to the program. No.
I just gave it to you, though.
Well, whatever. I wasn't really paying attention. But there's something.
You can be rude, but when anyone's rude to you, you cry like a baby.
Well, yeah. I can be rude to whoever I want.
You admit it. You're just a hypocrite. You're defending a hebephile, and you know you are.
The problem with you.
When are you going to jump to J.D. Vance?
Excuse me. The problem with you that
when
you
are you
have.
Jump to J.D. Vance, you pedophile lover.
Oh, you said the word. I said you can't use the word.
Yeah, you're a pedophile lover. Pedophile lover.
Okay, well then you're gone. I mean, I hate to do it, but you're gone. He'll call back, but don't worry, I'll handle him. What I was going to say to him was this. See, these guys are never satisfied. What I was going to say to him was this. He loves saying these perverted words. Can you tell? Doesn't he seem to enjoy saying perverted words, our unhinged Jerome from California? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Russell, and I'm from Oklahoma.
Hey, Russell.
Thanks.
Okay, all right, then there you go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm a Democrat, and you like to deflect from the truth.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you called. I'm so glad. This is the guy. This guy. I'm so glad you called because you're the guy who called over 250 times yesterday. Yeah, let me put you on hold there for a minute. This is the guy that called over 250 times yesterday. Remember I mentioned that at the end of the show? And some of you said, oh, Brian, take his call. Take his call. Well, this is a call? You know, I mean, come on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
You know, I'm done with Epstein. Epstein is nothing but a big distraction, and it's a big hamster wheel. They want us on that hamster wheel. They want to distract us from all the winning we've been doing lately. They want us to not focus on the great possibility we have of getting, you know, some perp walks out of this coup thing that's been going on for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. It's a big distraction, and I'm done with it.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And, you know, one of these idiots that just called, did you hear? He during all of his use of these perverted words that he enjoys saying for some strange reason, he dropped one thing. He said, when are you going to jump to J.D. Vance? He said, I don't know if you guys caught that. He said, when are you going to jump to J.D. Vance? See, one of the things I said in the opening of the show today was most of these people that talk about Epstein, they don't care about that. They're trying to smear President Trump and turn public opinion against him. It's a psyop. And when he says, when are you going to jump to J.D. Vance, as if that's a good choice, then they'll just attack him. But when are you going to, that he blew his cover. He's a seminar caller. And the seminar callers are calling shows like this and infiltrating places all over the place, bringing up Epstein, but they don't care about that. And he just blew his cover in his rage.
And unlike them, they're focusing on J.D. Vance, but they don't understand that we have a deeper bench than they do.
Yeah.
We have J.D. Vance, we have Marco Rubio, we have a few other people, that can run for president. Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument today, we do focus on J.D. Vance. And they start attacking J.D. Vance, though we still have Marco Rubio.
Well, of course they will. And then they'll go after him. The left always go after whatever Republican is at the top of the heap, no matter who. This is just the way it is. And Democrats rarely care about anything they bring up. And when it comes to Trump, this has been the strategy from the left, and it's a failed strategy, by the way. Trump's approval ratings are over 90% among Republicans, which is all that matters because only Republicans will support and vote for him and the people he endorses. But, their entire strategy on the left for 10 years has been, okay, if we just do this thing, this will turn the Trump supporters against him. And now they think they got something on this because these idiots, these MAGA influencers at Turning Point were obsessing over the issue that weekend, a couple weeks back. So they think they got something with this issue, and that's all they're doing. And that caller blew his cover. When are you going to jump to JD? I will never. I am MAGA for life. I will be with Trump for life.
Now, once Trump decides who he's going to actually endorse, then that's when I'm going to jump to whoever he endorses.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, Mike in Louisiana, take care. Now, Zero Hedge has a great article today. Listen to this. The deportations, they're having such a great effect on the job market and crime and everything else. Listen to this. Auto accidents fall 10% in major cities amid reports of lighter traffic. This isn't Zero Hedge. Tyler Durden is the writer. A few weeks ago, reports began circulating that thanks to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that's ICE, roundups in major cities, the notorious parking lot traffic in Los Angeles was suddenly cleared out, allowing people to jet around the city like the old days. And there's been videos of this online by many people. And there's some, now this is interesting. This is in Zero Hedge, and I did post this article to my X with all my other show prep, Brian Craig Show on X. They go on to say here in the article, what's interesting, however, is that the number of collisions are down roughly 10% for the period between January 20th and March 14th in both Los Angeles and New York City. The LAPD traffic collision reports shows that there are 9.3% fewer accidents in LA during the same period last year. In New York City, car accidents are down 10.4% between the same period this year and last year. So the deportations are having all kinds of unintended consequences, and this is one of them. Clearing out the traffic on the LA freeways, but also car accidents are down about 10%. That's a pretty good thing. Thank you, Tom Holman. That's right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Renee from Harlem.
Oh, hey, Renee.
I noticed you had this stupid story yesterday about two people that got beat up by some black people.
You're talking about the hate. You're talking about the hate crime in Cincinnati, yeah.
The hate crime, yeah. Those two people were Karens, and they got what they deserved. You know that, right?
I don't know what that. I don't. One of them was a man. A man's not a Karen.
Yeah, and he deserved it.
What did he do?
He popped off his mouth and said something he shouldn't, and he got what he deserved.
Sticks and stones.
Sticks and stone. Well, you open your mouth too much, and you do it to the wrong people, and you're going to get SAFO. You know what that means, right?
You don't. Are you okay? I mean, why would you say something like that? Why would you act? What you're basically saying is white people. What you basically said is white people deserve beatdowns.
White people so much.
You said that you just said you. Why would you say that white people deserve? Why? See what I mean? Yesterday I didn't take that many calls. Now I said I'll take some calls today. See what I'm dealing with? Why would you say that white people deserve beatdowns simply for being white?
No, I said he deserved the beatdown.
Oh, because he spoke. He was too uppity. So uppity white people deserve beatdowns?
No, racist white people.
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Racist people deserve a beatdown, yeah.
Do you believe you're racist?
No, you are.
Well, if you think that white people who are too uppity and speak deserve beatdowns, how's that not racist?
Racist white people deserve a beatdown.
Who's white and not racist?
What kind of a stupid question is that?
Who are some well-known white people that aren't racist?
That are not racist?
White people that are not racist, yes.
Well, Bernie Sanders is one.
Bernie Sanders. Why is he not why is he not racist but other white people are? What makes him not racist?
You are. You are and he's not.
No, what makes Bernie Sanders not a racist? What makes him different than other whites?
Why don't you ask the question more appropriately?
What is it about Bernie Sanders that makes him not racist while other white people are just for being white?
Because he's not. Zoran Mandani is not a racist.
Zoran's not. Well, he's not white. Zohan's not white. Zohan is not white.
Brianne Krieg is a racist.
No, Zohan is not white. Why is Bernie Sanders not a racist, but other? All right. Oh my goodness. Oh, do you or someone you know suffer from neuropathy? If so, you know it's tough. It makes life pretty rough, doesn't it? The numbness, the pain, the burning, the tingling in the hands and feet, the muscle weakness, the loss of balance, the dizziness, the falling down all the time, the muscle twitching, the feeling of pins and needles in the hands and feet, maybe no feeling at all. It's a tough life, neuropathy. But there is help. There is a treatment that works and a treatment that lasts. And they have it at Lighthouse Medical in Pompano. And Lighthouse Medical can help you with your neuropathy no matter where you're located in the United States. Even if you're local and you can't make it into their office, that's okay. They understand if you have neuropathy, it's probably hard for you to get out. They treated Steve for his neuropathy 3 years ago this month. They rid him of his neuropathy symptoms, and 3 years later, none of them have returned. Give them a call. Make sure you mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show so you can take advantage of the no-charge consultation. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, stand by. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I've got to make a correction. Was that Renee from Harlem? That was Renee from Harlem I was just talking to, right? I gotta make a correction when we get back on something I said. Wow. I'm going to make a retraction and a correction on something I said. Now, that was Renee from Harlem. 30 seconds. We're back. I'm Brian. It's 10 before 7. Call us on hold. Stand by. I'm going to make a correction on something I said a little while ago that I just found out during the break. That guy that called in earlier who said, I'm a Democrat. I said that was the guy that called 250 times, over 250 times during yesterday's show. That was incorrect. I retract that. That was incorrect. I just looked. It was Renee from Harlem. And I did not know that till after I was done speaking to him. I would have asked him about it. It was Renee from Harlem who called over 250 times during yesterday's show. Holy smokes. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. These crazy people that are calling you up, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, they got the greatest president that ever lived in this country at this point, doing everything for the American people. And all that they could do is try to belittle everything that you say, everything that any defender of President Trump says. It's disgusting. I would like to address this black racist from New Jersey. This total, as Steve would say, creep.
That was Renee. That was Renee from Harlem I was just speaking to. You're talking about Jay from Jersey?
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm glad that I'm glad that I'm backed up because Renee is another one. Listen, I'm going to give you a quick story. I was driving the bus many moons before the Obama. I mean, this goes back when I first started driving a bus. I'll never forget this, Brian. I was on Route 1 down by Miami Beach, and I loaded a bus full of black teenagers. And I had this one middle-aged white guy in the back of the bus saying racial slurs to these teenagers coming out of his mouth, and I said, oh, my God, there's going to be trouble. They said, don't talk to this guy. He's crazy. They behaved properly. They didn't gang up on him like a bunch of savages, which like according to Renee, that should happen. You should murder somebody if they say something.
Well,
that
first
they don't
off,
want to hear.
there are no reports that what he said is true about that couple, by the way. Even if it
doesn't
was
matter.
true, it doesn't matter, but he just made that up. Or he's get some false reports somewhere because I've been following that story and that has not been reported.
Well, the fact of that story is that this is the behavior of people. Behavior of a certain group of black people, not because you have 90% are wonderful people. Just like the whites.
Listen, there's always bad apples. I mean, most of these creeps I talk to on the phone are white Gen Zers and millennials. They're lunatics.
Yeah.
But on yesterday's show, there was one guy who goes and watches the Cincinnati play baseball. He won't go to night games. He says it's not safe to go to Cincinnati at night, and that's a sad thing. And then I had that audio I played on yesterday's show of the lady police chief, and she's upset at the people that videoed. She said that the video of it doesn't show it in its proper context, as if there's some justification for what happened. She's a lunatic, a Karen.
Every major holiday in the city of Chicago, you know this. You said you're a reporter all the time. There's like 45 to 65, 70 people shot. And how many are dead? and that's amongst themselves. The problem, and I'll try to get to this point, because of the lack of law enforcement in these major cities, there's a lot of, and I'll say it the way it is, ghetto people, okay, are not only terrorizing their own neighborhoods, they're acting out everything.
Listen, when you go to any poor neighborhood, regardless of the skin color of the people there, you're in a higher crime area. You know, and that's just the way it is. But however, the difference, the difference in, let me finish my thought. It's an incomplete thought there. The difference in this instance in Cincinnati is those people that attack those white people think like Renee from Harlem, that white people deserve a beatdown, and they've been so brainwashed by the critical race theory and the Democrats that they feel that they have a duty and an obligation to do it. They don't even realize they've done anything wrong.
You're absolutely right, but here's the deal, and there's a fact. You should all go on the Brian Craig cruise, by the way, with Ian, because you got a celebrity cruise ship that there are interracial people on there that know how to behave themselves.
All right,
Richie.
All right, Richie. I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on, but I do appreciate the call, Richie. I don't need Richie to give his race theory. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Jared Layton. I'm calling from Washington.
All right. Washington State or Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, the state.
Okay, what's up?
Not much. I was listening to your radio show. I'm up late. I'm the kind of person who likes discussing things with people. I do a lot of my own, thinking and processing, but you yourself are an echo chamber, so you can't. You got to test your ideas by bouncing.
I'm an echo chamber. I'm not an echo chamber.
Not you, sorry. Not you, like yourself, your own ideas become an echo chamber. You have to talk to people to test them out.
Okay.
And see how they work. I wasn't calling you. I was saying if you're doing that and then you keep it to yourself, you're an echo chamber.
Okay.
But you got to talk to people to put your ideas to the road, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you a couple questions before we get too deep into this. Are you a Republican voter or a Trump voter? Did you? It's
the same thing.
Did you key in on Trump?
It's the same thing. I've been voting Republican. I've been voting Republican for a long, long time before Trump came down the escalator. And I have some regrets. I have some regrets.
He's a Republican, so if you vote for him, you have to vote Republican. What I'm saying though is, did you key in on something about Trump, or was
no? I was voting Republican long before Trump came down the escalator. Although I have some regrets over war criminal Bush and Cheney and things, but yeah, I've been voting Republican a long time.
I appreciate your honesty on that. I served. My boot camp was under Bush, and even that I regret. And I actually regret serving under Obama too. I thought he was a secret agent, and then later I realized actually he's just a weak, useful idiot. Russia does not still have to have Crimea, but we let them have it, and we shouldn't have.
Well, no, we didn't. Obama let them have it, and Biden let them start, and Biden let them start this war.
Well, he got voted in. He represented us. We. Samantha,
so anyway, I'm sure I'm coming up on a break soon. So what's your main point?
Oh, my main point is that it is more common to find out that the person that was leading you was disappointing after all than was worthy of the praise they got during. What I'm getting at is this is like a two-layer conversation. I am mostly red. I don't like Trump's character. I do like some of his maneuvers, but he's a bullshitter.
You can't dump button. First dump of the day. You can't use profanity. Oh my goodness. First dump of the day. But you know what? It's time for a spot anyway. I want to talk about Mike Lindell and My Pillow. You know, I've been sleeping on a My Pillow now for over a decade. And it really is a life changer. You guys, I talk about this a lot. I get very little sleep because I'm so busy. And that sleep I get is so well rested. That patented fill that Mike Lindell invented, that's in the original My Pillow, what it does, it makes it so that your head and neck rest perfectly in the pillow all night, and you're not tossing and turning. Tossing and turning days are over, and have been over in my life for over 10 years because I'm sleeping with the My Pillow. The My Pillow that started it all, that I sleep on, is a beautiful, perfect pillow, and I've tried them all, the gel, the bamboo, the foam, the this, the that. There's nothing like the My Pillow. And with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you can get the My Pillow that started it all for less than $20. Pretty good deal, huh? Yeah, these are wholesale prices because all these big stores kicked them out. So now you're getting wholesale prices. That first My Pillow I got that I still sleep on, I paid $65 for that. You can get it for less than $20 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. Sleep great just like I do for the rest of your life. Get yourself a My Pillow they make great gifts to for less than $20 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. 1 hour down, 2 to go. Calls on hold, stand by. We'll be back right after this.
.2% was the tariff.
We'll be back in about 90 seconds, so I'm going to bring up a couple of new issues, but you're welcome to call in about anything I brought up so far. No profanity, guys, if you don't mind. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. About 30 seconds, we'll be back, guys. Welcome back. Hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio until Friday, when that'll change to 49 years on the radio. Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine? Before long, it'll be the big 5-0. Welcome. If you're on hold, hang in there. There's a few other stories I want to bring up. This one, President Trump back from Scotland making these great trade deals with the EU. CNN, they're sitting Shiva over on CNN of depression. Listen.
0.2% was the tariff level on EU imports. Now it's 15%, and that's supposed to be a huge victory for Americans.
7%.
Up to 27. The EU deal was negotiated by a team of 5 representing 26 different jurisdictions. Both the French and the German came out this morning and said we're not happy with the outcome of that negotiation. The only reason the Europeans have agreed to an asymmetric tariff, in other words, they're paying more to come and bring their products here than we are paying to go into Europe, is because of 2 sectors, pharma and automotive. They can't give up access to the American market for these behemoth businesses they have in pharma and automotive. What's interesting about this whole narrative about rebate checks, because Trump also brought it up, and these other ideas, that's a bad idea. What should be happening now with any extra income is to pay down the national debt.
I would agree
That's
with
the
that.
opportunity, because the greatest gift you can give to the future is to pay down the debt, which is just really, really big. And so I think at the end of the day, we're still negotiating with these countries because we don't have deals with Mexico, no deals with Canada, India, no deal. Europe looks like it's negotiating something here. But the real big mama is China. And we're just starting the dance with those guys. That's a big deal. And
Okay. Now, a couple things. That's Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. I like him. He lives down here. He's a good guy. I'd like to meet him. I go out in some of the same circles. I've never bumped into him. Maybe one day I'll bump into Mr. Wonderful. But you can tell they're very depressed over on CNN around Mr. Wonderful over these great trade deals. But I wanted to ask you this. Mr. Wonderful, who's a billionaire, I understand his underwear costs more than whatever the rebate will be. And what the rebate would be, I don't know. People are throwing numbers around. I've heard $2,000, $1,500. I've heard $5,000. Do you guys agree with Mr. Wonderful that the extra money should be used to pay down the national debt, or do you think you should get a rebate? I'm going to say we should get rebates. The government will be fine. They'll give us rebates, and they'll still have money to pay towards the national debt. I don't care how much it is. I've heard less. Somebody in the chat said $600. I would rather use it for my own, get some of my own money back from the government to pay towards whatever I want to pay, than them put it towards the government debt. What would you rather do? $2,000, $5,000? I mean, I would rather have that for myself than I would to the federal government's debt. What do you guys think about that? Mr. Wonderful is a billionaire. I like him. I agree with him on most everything he says, and Mr. Wonderful's a good guy. But I disagree with him on that. What do you guys think? 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Chris from Pompano Beach.
Hey, Chris. What's on your mind? Yeah, what's up, Chris?
Hello?
Yeah, did you hit mute on your phone?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. My volume was down. I just looked at the lady. I can't hear.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That happens. What's on your mind?
Oh, great. No. I mean, it's just, of course, I listen to the show on a daily basis where I'm mostly informed, obviously. But it's more of the same. This whole character thing. Oh, I like, President Trump's work. And I know he's a great president. He's done more in 6 months than most presidents have done doing their entire term. But then they're like, but I don't like him. And see, that's the whole smear campaign, whether it's bringing up Epstein or changing a subject and not hearing any other truths or facts. It's just constant on all the state-controlled media, now that we know, of course, how subsidized they were. They just spread any kind of hate.
Well, what they're trying to do, and unfortunately, with that guy, I wanted to talk to him because he obviously is fake MAGA, okay, but he used profanity, so I had to let him go. But with the seminar call, it's so interesting over the years the different things the seminar callers do. What they're trying to do now is a couple things, but they're trying to create a narrative that MAGA voters are turning against Trump. So you get all these people that claim to be MAGA, lifelong Republicans, all this nonsense, but they don't like Trump anymore. And there is no one who is a MAGA person who was turned against Trump. I'm sorry. If you know somebody who was that, they were fake MAGA. There is no true Trump supporter who's turned against him. His approval numbers are in the 90s among Republican voters. It's just a lie.
Exactly. I mean, they at least know enough to know that the man is doing an outstanding job. So, I mean, look what you get from Democrats. They're mostly career politicians. They get the little prerequisite law degrees so they can move around, whether it's judicial or Senate or any place like that, and higher if they can get there. But they're do-nothing people. And they're typical politicians when they make their little promises because they have no platform to run on. And then they get there and disappoint.
Well, one of the fake MAGA people slipped in the first hour. They were, and I opened the show saying that a lot of these people that are obsessed with Epstein are fake MAGA, okay? And they don't care about Epstein. Sure. They just want to smear Trump. And the guy said to me in his little fit, he says, when are you going to jump to J.D. Vance? He said. He slipped. So he doesn't care about Epstein or any of that. He just wants to smear Trump. And if we all jumped to J.D. Vance, they would just start smearing him too. They'd say, oh, he was defending Trump with the Epstein. Come on. Just call in and admit that you hate Trump, and then we can talk. But I'm above all that. I care about the Epstein victims. Give me a break.
Yeah, and this whole business that Trump is cocky, and it should have to be. Like President Trump said, get used to winning. Listen, most of the best athletic or winning and confident people, they trash talk a little bit, especially in sports. And that's just the confidence and that willing to win. And listen, President Trump is the best thing. And I almost hate that the Democrats benefit just as much, if not more, than the Republicans. Mm-hmm. I wish they would suffer a little bit more and continue to pay high prices for gas and food and everything else that President Trump is helping with.
Yeah.
And our safety.
Yeah.
And I wish the criminals would come to their neighborhood and harass them. They act like they don't like President Trump's job.
Exactly.
Well, they actually never really talk about his job, just his personality, which is ridiculous.
Well, I think his personality is fine.
I do too.
I have no problem with his personality.
You need confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He like you said the other day, he's result-driven.
He's a gentleman. Did you see yesterday? He's such a gentleman, President. He opened and held the door open for one of his Secret Service agents yesterday. You ever see a president do that?
Exactly. Too full of themselves for that. Look at me, I'm important.
Exactly.
He's a good man.
All right, take care, man. Good to hear from you. Chris is always a good caller. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Hey, Doug.
I'm thinking about what you said about getting a rebate. It's a nice idea, but, think about this. The interest that we pay on the debt, if we can get rid of that, man, that would really.
Yeah, but Doug, let's be honest. You're a man of means. I said you're a man of means. You're not as rich as Mr. Wonderful, but you're doing all right.
Yeah. Well, listen, I like money. I love money. I wouldn't mind getting it.
If you mean to tell me, let's just talk about this, okay? You mean to tell me that if we were going to get $5,000 rebate checks, you would rather not? You would turn that down. You would rather it go towards paying off the national debt as opposed to having $5,000?
Well, $5,000, man. That's a tough one to turn down.
Yeah, I wouldn't turn down $5,000. No, if it was $500, if it was $500 or $600, I'm not. It'd be. But if we're talking $5,000, would you turn down $5,000?
Yeah, I know. But they're talking about $500-$600. So
$500 or $600 is be gone before before you get to the bank with the check. But
listen, I'm thinking that if we can pay down the damn debt, then they can lower the taxes and we'll have a lot more money every year in our pocket, and it'll be a much better savings.
You make a good point because you pay taxes. A lot of these people don't pay taxes, right? They pay payroll taxes, not income. You pay income taxes, right? I know what you mean. What President Trump's goal is to pay off the national debt and show that the country can be governed debt-free just on the tariffs and eliminate income taxes. And in the next presidential election or the election after that, that's going to be the main issue, eliminating income taxes. And I'm all for that. So, yeah, paying off the debt But turning down if we were going to get a $5,000 rebate, that's a lot different than a $600. The $600 is what we got when George W. Bush gave rebates, $600 or something. Yep. I think it was to married couples, if I remember correctly. I'm not talking about $600 bucks. I'm talking about $5,000.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to be 5,000, but because giving everybody in the country 5,000, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
We'll see. We'll see. The last thing I want to say before I go is, I think all these liberals, I think are possessed. I think we need an exorcism
They're
or something.
Possessed. They're possessed.
I can't figure it out, man. How could they possibly be this dumb? The evil has to have taken them over. It's just they don't want guns. They don't want guns. What's wrong with guns? Guns save people from evil. So
look, a good guy with a gun stopped that criminal at the Target over the weekend, right?
Exactly. But they don't want to get it through their head. They're complaining to me yesterday. Oh, are you ready to stop with the guns yet? I said, really crazy? The guns are protecting people. Why would you want to help evil take over? So only want evil to have guns? We have to have guns. These people just don't get it.
There was a book years ago put out by one of the Second Amendment advocates. I can't remember their name offhand, but it was called "More Guns, Less Crime." Was the title of the book? More Guns, Less Crime.
There you go. That's 100% correct. But I say it's people who kill, not the guns.
But and it was also interesting. It was a good guy with a gun who was black who stopped a bad guy who was white with a knife, right?
Yep. Exactly. You can't stop the evil, and that's what I'm saying. And anybody who's for this.
Now, I want to ask you guys this too. This New York shooter, witnesses said he was yelling "Free Palestine," and the building that he hit was target number 5 on the global Intifada target list. They're telling us now that he was trying to attack the NFL, that he believed he was an NFL player who had brain damage. Do you buy that story, or was it an Islamic terror attack, and they're covering for Zohan because Zohan's Muslim? What do you think?
Islamic terrorist attack guaranteed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. An
An
attack on the NFL? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and he's white, and he's this.
Yeah, I know. First he was white. Now it was an attack on the NFL. Give me a break. All right, Doug, appreciate the call. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to talk about the free doorbell camera offer from Sloman's. With the doorbell camera, you get a notification anytime there is movement at your door. And it's a great thing to have, and you can get one for free that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Sloman's is also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, a backup battery, plus you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Give them a call right now, no matter where you're located. Toll-free, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. Oh, man. Yeah, that story about the traffic being down, traffic accidents down 10% in major cities. I got to go to Miami over the weekend But I'm going on Sunday. Traffic's kind of light on Sundays in general in Miami. I'm wondering if the Miami traffic is down. The Miami traffic accidents, too. I don't know. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll take some more calls. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe. We're in a radio station break right now. We'll be back in a little more than a minute. I watched a movie last night, my wife and I, as I was going to bed, that I had not seen in years. And it's a cheesy movie, but I like it, from the 80s, starring the great underrated actor Tim Thomerson, Trancers. Anybody ever see Trancers with Tim Thomerson? I love Tim Thomerson. Great actor. And that's a good movie. The sequel, not so much, but the original Trancers, Helen Hunt's in it. Welcome, everyone. Did it sign me out of X? No. And don't forget, guys, join us on our MAGA cruise in March on the Celebrity Beyond. Remember, right now we have a few cabins left at the 2019 prices. Call Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot, 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. We have a few of these cabins left at the 2019 prices still. We're going to Antigua, Nassau in the Bahamas, the Virgin Islands, and we've got some great onboard activities and shore activities that are just going to blow your mind. And you can see we have a great group. I have a great time. You have a great time. And we have a great time together. You see the video there. 561-244-5779. Join us. You will have a great time. A great MAGA group of people. It's my vacation, Steve Kane's vacation, and you're invited to join us. It's our 10th annual Steve Kane, Brian Craig MAGA cruise. I can't believe it. Fancy food. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. On the radio since 1977. We'll go back to the phones. We've covered a lot, but I got some other issues to cover, too, that I still have not gotten to. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Ben from Pompano. How's it going?
All right, Ben. What's up?
Hey, so a few things. That caller who called in earlier, I noticed that you get a lot of these like so-called seminar callers when they open with a question.
Yes.
So, like, do you think,
Yes.
So are you a Republican or a Trump voter? And right from there, without fail, these people always present themselves as like these fair-minded, balanced centrists, when really they're just like hidden depth.
Yes.
But I thought that guy was kind of pathetic. I'm just glad that
I agree.
everyone is done talking about
and
the Epstein
do you
files.
believe do you believe he served in the military? I don't believe that either, but he it was.
Yeah, I don't know. He casually dropped that in there.
I served. Yes.
Yeah, like he has some more credibility,
Yeah, exactly.
Valor,
exactly.
But no, I'm very glad everyone's done talking about the Epstein files. Trump knows what's up. He knew that, it was time to move on, and I'm glad he did because, he tried his best. And obviously that, I'm so much happier with us focusing on, like, the big EU trade, things like that. The caller who called in before nailed it, where he's like, listen, Democrats, like, they're even getting help, too. And that's the part about this. Trump, when the East Palestine train derailed, Biden withheld aid from that community. There was a special clause in Social Security which would allow them to help. Trump, within the first 2 weeks, he goes to California due to the wildfires. And, I mean, he cares about all Americans. All Americans. You know, he even he went to New Jersey. That's the thing about Trump is even Democrats who hate his guts, he still has his.
Remember, he went to Malibu after the fires. Oh, by the way, you know this. Did you see Oprah in Hawaii? You know this tsunami warning they got in Hawaii. Oprah, she has her own private road that she didn't open up, that she blocks people from using. People were trying to escape during the tsunami warning, and she wouldn't open up her road. Eventually, she did. But I mean, my goodness, what an arrogant elitist Oprah Winfrey is. And I'm not even sure she opened it up if the public just drove it, just tore down the gate. I don't know.
Well, that's typical Democrat behavior. I mean, it is the party of academia and affluence. It's the party of the rich. And so, you know, of course, people like Oprah, you know, my dad, he's a blue dog Democrat, and he constantly tries to send me articles to convince me. And he just sent me one over the weekend about how Democrats are finally admitting, hey, maybe liberals are a little hypocrite, you know? Like, we say we care about race, but when it means our kid getting kicked out of college for affirmative action, we're not behind it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's the whole critique behind Champagne's socialist. It's like the idea
So let me ask you, I was talking to Doug about this, okay? Because there's talk of a possible rebate. If the rebate was a serious rebate, I'm not talking about $500 or $600, but if the rebate was, say, $1,500, $2,000, would you rather have the rebate check, or would you rather all the money go to pay off the debt of the country? Tough one.
Listen, I try to be a principled guy, but
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
We're all still hurt. The thing is, I'm weighing my principles of putting down the debt with Trump doing something that would make him like the most popular president of all time.
Well, there you go. Okay, now you hit on it. See, the thing with the rebate. Think about this. You know, the timing of the rebate going into the midterms, and President Trump sends a check to everyone in America. That's a pretty good helpful thing as we go into the midterms, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's what I'm weighing. You know, our debt is a massive. You could argue it's one of the biggest problems in this country. But I would say there are a lot of people out there who, like, if Trump, you know, they're pretty simplistic. You know, if someone just gives them money, you win their vote.
That's right.
There's a lot of non-engaged, low propensity voters where you give them $4,000, like, yeah, that's a big deal. And I want Trump. Unfortunately for Trump, he's got to work twice as hard to solidify his legacy.
Yep.
You know, because if the media was honest and if there was an actual fair assessment of what he was doing, he would easily go on Mount Rushmore.
You know, and the historians are liberal. There's a new, I always forget his name. Gosh darn it. Who's that PBS documentary filmmaker? He makes all the documentaries on PBS. He made one about the Civil War. Ken Burns. Ken Burns.
Yeah.
Ken Burns. Okay, I saw an interview with him. His feet didn't even touch the floor. He was in a chair. I'm not kidding. His feet weren't. And he's a liberal jerk. And he's promoting this new documentary he has on the American Revolution. How much you want to bet the American Revolution that they're going to highlight some immigrants that were new into the country, that were fighting for our independence? Liberals write the history. We're going to find out that immigrants won the American Revolution in Ken Burns' documentary. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
I know. It's like the 1619 Project. They got to rewrite
exactly.
history. Like, yeah, we used to have immigrants, but they weren't settlers. You know, like they say immigrants built this country, but it's like, no, like the people who came and built this country, and then immigrants came along when it was already developed and contributed in a way. But I mean, to live and die by the immigrant creed. But I think Trump is, you know, I just saw some these historians who rank presidents. They already have Biden ahead of Trump, and they have Trump third to last behind Buchanan and Harding.
Give me a break.
It's a joke.
Buchanan and Harding.
You and I, in like 20 years, we're going to have to I hope your show is still running because we're going to have to. They're going to lie so much about these years.
Well, you know, if you, somebody pointed this out to me a while back, and this is interesting. If you follow my show here on YouTube or my podcast, and by the way, the Brian Craig Show podcast is on all podcast platforms. And I do my podcast live in the afternoons on YouTube, taking live calls like I do here on the radio. I just started doing that a couple weeks ago, and my podcast listenership has skyrocketed since. I do it live now. But somebody pointed this out to me, that if you go back and binge listen to my YouTube videos and podcast, you get the whole Trump administration from when he came down the escalator to whenever, because I've documented the entire time of Trump in the world of politics, and that's true. I didn't. Yeah, of course they're there for. That's my legacy.
Well, you got to archive them. I mean,
yeah.
They're gonna. If Democrats had their way, they would literally. They would Orwell. They would what it was called, where they would undead someone or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just gonna erase it and act like it never happened. So. Trump is doing great, and we really need the MAGA people panicking who divide the base.
This Epstein thing with all these fake MAGA people that keep calling me. This is Charlie Kirk is becoming a superstar now. He was hosting Fox and Friends. Was he on the 5? I saw him. He's doing something else too. And Charlie Kirk's turning point, when they were going after this Epstein thing, attacking Trump a couple weeks ago, started this whole line about this. So you blame Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, and Bannon. They started this. I like them all, but they screwed up. And we're dealing with this Epstein thing nonstop because of those guys at Turning Point in Tampa a couple weeks ago. I'm really aggravated at them. And now Charlie Kirk's gotten elevated on Fox, and there was something else I learned he was doing that I forgot about. Anyway, hey, I got to run. I appreciate the call. I want to remind you guys, the MyPillow that started it all, that I've been sleeping on every night for over a decade, you can get the MyPillow with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com for less than $20. This is the lowest price ever, less than $20. I paid $65 for mine over a decade ago, and now you're getting wholesale prices under $20. You can get the original MyPillow, which I sleep on every night, with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. We'll be right back. Now, I want to tell you guys, if you want to get a good night's sleep, get yourself a 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. You can get a 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper with my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com for 30% off. I've been sleeping on my MyPillow mattress topper, as has my wife next to me, for years. I get about 4 hours of sleep a night, between 4 and 5 hours, depending on what night of the week. What the MyPillow mattress topper does, it turns your entire bed into a big MyPillow. So that 4 to 5 hours of sleep I get every night is deep, well-rested sleep because of that mattress topper. It comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee, a 10-year warranty. It's machine washable and dryable, and it will change your life, let me tell you. When I was a kid growing up, and I know a lot of you are old enough to remember this, you used to be able to flip mattresses. Remember that? Remember the days when you could flip a mattress? You'd have a mattress, and then, for whatever reason, it got lumpy, lopsided or something, and you'd flip it over, and then it was like having a brand new mattress. Well, years ago, the mattress companies, they got real wise to that. You can't flip mattresses anymore. It's like a box spring underneath, right? So if you've got, and mattresses are expensive. If you have a lumpy, bumpy mattress, a lopsided mattress, or think you need a new mattress, go to mypillow.com. Get your 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. It comes in every mattress size there is. Use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, and get 30% off. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. We'll be back in about a minute, guys. I got a couple things I got to get into. I haven't gotten into hardly anything today. If you want to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. If you're on hold, stand by.
The Trump national.
All right, we're back. Callers on hold, stand by. The great James O'Keefe, he's awesome. Do you guys love James O'Keefe? James O'Keefe is absolutely amazing, and he dropped something yesterday, and the media just don't want to report what he does, but it's self-explanatory and it's short. Listen, this is the great James O'Keefe.
The first of the intelligence community's surveillance targets appeared to be a former Defense Intelligence Agency, that's DIA head, and would-be Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Another target was staffer George Papadopoulos. In 2018, HPSCI, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, released a 243-page report clearing Trump of allegations that he and his team colluded with Russia to interfere with the 2016 election. However, sources close to the House Permanent Select Committee, led by Adam Schiff, covertly continued working out of a small room in Langley, and he had access to raw logs and communications from agencies like the CIA and the National Security Council.
Okay. Now, this is the first we've had, I've heard this, and it's not only the first time I've heard this, we have it from one of the most credible sources out there, James O'Keefe. Adam Schiff is CIA. That explains everything, doesn't it? He is deep state. He was working out of an office in Langley. Pretty scary stuff. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Chris from Chicago.
Hey, Chris. What's on your mind?
So explain this to me. Why did it take Trump? Why did it take Epstein 2 times to take women from Mar-a-Lago for him to have a problem with it? He didn't have a problem
I didn't
with him
understand.
taking-
Start over. I didn't understand what you asked.
I'm sorry about this. So he took women from Mar-a-Lago the first time, and Trump warned them, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Then he took women. He took some more women the second time. Then that was too. Then at that point it was too much. So why wasn't it a problem the first time when he took women?
Okay. When it took women is not a very specific thing. Okay. When he did it the first time. Now I'm going to answer your question, but before I do, I wish you would just tell the truth and say you hate Trump, and no matter what I say, you're not going to accept the answer. You're going to continue to hate on Trump.
That's not true. I honestly want to hear this.
Okay.
Honestly, I want to hear you explain this. Go ahead.
This girl, Virginia, the one who died recently, was one of the girls. She worked at the spa at Mar-a-Lago. A lot of teenagers work jobs like this, part-time jobs. When I was a teenager, I was working jobs and doing things. It's not that Epstein took. He didn't take or kidnap or abduct. He hired away people. So the first time he did it, he hired someone away by offering them, who knows what he offered her, but it was a lot more than she was getting. So then he told him to go work for them. He didn't know. And then he did it again, and Trump found out somebody had told him, oh, these are all teenage girls. They told him what was going on, and then that's when he got rid of them. He didn't know what was going on.
So the first time, this where you missing everything. He never said he had an issue with what Epstein was doing. He said he had an issue with him taking girls from Mar-a-Lago. See, that's what you're missing. Trump never mentioned he had an issue with him, taking women away, doing what he was doing on his island.
No, this
Trump
is
never said that.
no. This has been talked about over the years, and Trump just gave us some specifics yesterday that we had not heard before. Trump has said for many, many years that when he found out what Epstein was doing, that because it was the talk of the town at this point, he tossed him out of Mar-a-Lago. What he told us yesterday is how he found out. He was hiring away all the teenage girls, and he found out why. And that's just more details than what we already knew.
Hey, I appreciate you explaining. All right, peace out, Clay.
All right, take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's going on? Since you decided to hang up on me earlier, what's going on?
It's every call ends in a hang up. Okay? I'm not some buddy of yours that you're calling up and chit-chatting and I hang up on you. I'm running I am running a talk show.
You're begging for money online.
No, I'm not.
So we can have a discussion,
and it's one call per day. Begging for money online. I'm doing advertisements online is what I'm doing, and on the radio and everywhere else. I mean, my goodness. You called in once today. It's one call per day. Yeah, there is a lot of derangement going on. So James O'Keefe gave us some incredible information, and that is that Adam Schiff is working with the CIA, and very well may even be CIA for all we know. So all this time that we've seen Adam Schiff on television making these wild accusations, he's been getting briefed and been in a room in Langley. Okay, so Judge Janine dropped a video yesterday. This is I see she's been waiting for this confirmation. Listen to Judge Janine yesterday. Oh, it's not going to play now. Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up again. I will pull it up and see if I can get it to play again. If not, I'll play it after the break. If I got to find it again. Let's see if I can get it to work. Let me try again. Here we go.
I'm Janine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney in D.C., and we are prioritizing the President's executive order to make D.C. safe and beautiful. And as part of that initiative, what my office has done in recent weeks is we are now trying to identify those illegals who are currently burrowed in our criminal justice system, who've identified themselves either as citizens or individuals with actual legal status who do not have status or are illegal. Previously, there was no questioning them, and there was certainly no verification of that. Now I've got my chief criminal investigator, Matt Fox Moles, who has an enforcement removal officer embedded with his investigators, working with ICE to identify those individuals already in the system that we can then find out from ICE what their status is. Previously, no one even asked. They would just literally go through the system and either be convicted and possibly go to jail or be found not guilty and be released. But the D.C. City Council has worked very hard to make sure that these individuals avoid any contact with ICE, almost to the point where the law requires, upon a request by a defense attorney, that an illegal be removed to the Department of Corrections when there may be no actual case, to kind of throw the feds off, as opposed to simply releasing them from the courthouse right then and there. We're on top of this. We're making sure now that not just in the misdemeanor cases, but in the federal docket, the Superior Court docket, we are identifying the illegals that are in the system to make sure that D.C. is safe, that we know who is here and who is entitled to be here. So as we cut through the red tape, and as we break down some of those federal bureaucratic walls and fight the sanctuary city status, we are making D.C. safe again.
Okay, so Judge Janine, she's on the job. Wouldn't you like to see a press conference like that with Bongino and Kash Patel? I know we all would. The blue city of D.C., their mayor and city council are very weak. They're very weak. They really don't run the city. It's run by the federal government. There's a very weak mayor, a weak city council. And they've been allowed to run amok as if they really run the city, but no. In fact, there's a congressional committee, which is, of course, all the committees are Republican-led. There's a congressional committee that they answer to, I'm not sure who the head of that committee is. They used to be in the news a lot during the Marion Barry days, but I don't remember the crackhead mayor. So I don't know who is on that committee or who chairs that committee today, but I'm sure it's somebody we're familiar with. At least I would hope. So Judge Janine has a lot of federal authority over what would be considered the local city justice system in New York, because it's controlled by the federal government. And the reason it was set up under the supervision of the federal government is you don't want to be able to have a mayor and a city council that have authority over the Congress and the president. So they're a figurehead mayor in D.C., a figurehead city council. They think they're all that, but they're not. And when Judge Janine starts going through the jails and picking up the illegals there, even on misdemeanor cases, this is going to be a beautiful thing. I can't wait. Now we're finally getting everybody in place. It's taken a while, but we're getting everyone in place 6 months in. It takes time. We all have a TikTok attention span, right? So, and I do myself. I think one of the reasons I don't watch so many movies anymore is because they're too long. My attention span, the attention span of the entire country is very short now because of social media. And we want everything done in 3 seconds, and that's just sadly how not everything can work. But she's going to start doing the round. I was telling you guys yesterday, there was a shoplifter in Florida, and the cops told her they're going to turn her over to ICE. She said, "You can't do that. I got kids here. Those days are over. Take your kids back with you to wherever you're from." All right. If you're on hold, stand by. My name is Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll take our last break of the second hour and be right back. Hey there, hold on. We'll be back in just over a minute, guys. Just over a minute. I think that guy Jerome is not stable. What do you guys think? I don't think he's stable. The way he talks, he sounds crazy. What do you guys think? Does he sound nuts to you? All right, we are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. On the line from Cruise and Travel Depot, we have Ian. Hey, Ian.
Hey, good morning.
Hey there. Now, for those that don't know, Ian is the travel agent behind all of our cruises as we approach in March our 10th annual Steve Kane, Brian Craig MAGA Cruise, the original MAGA Cruise. In 10 years we've been doing this, and this is a very important week for you guys to call and make your reservations. We're going to Antigua, Nassau in the Bahamas, and the Virgin Islands on the luxurious cruise ship Celebrity Beyond, which is a very upscale, modern cruise ship. But Ian, because we have such a great relation, and he has such a great relationship with Celebrity Cruise Line, we literally have on a 2026 cruise, because it's March 2026, you're paying 2019 rates. Can you tell people about that, Ian, and what they get for these 2019 pre-pandemic pricing?
Yeah, well, I booked the rates for this upcoming sailing 18 months ago, so you're really getting an amazing value, and the rates come with drinks and Wi-Fi. And when I've given people quotes over the phone, they've said, "Is that for one person?" I said, "No, it's for two."
Yeah.
Out the door, and they can't believe it because it really is very good for an amazing, unique sailing. We've never been to Antigua. I've never been to Antigua.
Oh.
Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we have spectacular shore excursions planned, and onboard activities. We're taking things to a whole new level we've never done before. And we'll be announcing some of these things as the months go on. But you wanna call Ian today, make a reservation, and lock in this 2019 pricing. And I'm not exaggerating, but once these cabins are gone, that the 2019 pricing disappears because we only have it on a limited number of cabins. You will be paying less if you're in our group with this 2019 pricing than anyone else on the ship. Okay, and that's a pretty amazing thing, Ian.
Absolutely, and once this batch of pricing is gone, then, we'll go and we'll get more pricing, which will be good, but it won't be this good.
No, it'll be good, but not this good. So you want to call and make your reservation. I'm going to give you the number in a moment. When you call Ian, make sure you leave your name and number if you get his voicemail. And Ian will call you back. And you call back quick, Ian. Sometimes I'm leaving you a message and you're calling me back as I'm leaving the message. And
I am known for that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So it doesn't only include drinks and Wi-Fi. And if you don't drink alcohol, it includes all the sodas and bottled water and gourmet coffees, and you can even get the virgin drinks of the fancy drinks too if you want with the drink package. The Wi-Fi is the Starlink, which is spectacular. It's amazing, how fast. And you also get to hang out with us for the week. And you have 5-star Michelin star quality food the entire week. That's all included. Give Ian a call, 561-244-5779, 561-244-5779. All right, Ian, we'll talk soon.
Yep, have a great day, Brian.
All right, take care. I really look forward to these cruises, and you're all invited. No liberal stowaways allowed, though. 561-244-5779. All right, we've covered a lot today, and there is more that I'm going to get to after the top of the hour, including some of these amazing press conferences President Trump had yesterday. But I do want to bring up one thing involving Israel. And I noticed when Netanyahu and Israel came up with President Trump while he was in Europe, he seems to be losing patience with Netanyahu. And I want to ask you guys a question. Now, I am as strong of a supporter of Israel as you can have. There's no getting around it. But I'm starting to see, though, that public opinion is starting to turn against Israel. Right or wrong, one of our callers at the end of the show, I think it was JJ, called at the end of the show yesterday, made a great comparison to what's beginning. The attack on Israel was one of the most barbaric attacks I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's just god-awful. And the response has been incredibly appropriate by Israel. And Israel's always very restrained. They're a nuclear power. They have a very powerful military, and they could do a lot more damage than they do. They show a lot of restraint. However, whether the stories are accurate or not, whether it's right or wrong or not, this siege of Gaza seems to me, in the media war, they're losing. Israel, Netanyahu are losing support. I'm seeing it, and it pains me to say that. And what JJ said at the end of yesterday's show is that it's almost like what happened to the United States in Vietnam, right? You know, we lost the media, public relations battle in Vietnam, and the public turned against us. And we lost the war in Vietnam without losing a single battle because of public opinion. And I'm starting to see that with Israel. And I would like to ask you guys your thoughts on that. Does Netanyahu have to let loose a little bit? Every time I go online, I see a starving child, a starving baby. And I'm not saying those stories are accurate or not. I don't know. But I am sensing annoyance from President Trump about it. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Another thing, this earthquake in Russia is almost the worst, most severe earthquake, I'm not sure how you describe it, ever recorded. The worst was a 9 on the Richter scale that hit Japan a few years back. But this one, they're saying, was 8.8. That's pretty rough. The damage inside Russia, we don't know at this point. How many people affected, we don't know at this point. We may never know. But an earthquake, you can't help an earthquake. An earthquake's going to happen, right? I mean, it's an act of God. And we don't want it to be bad. I mean, we don't want people to lose their lives, and we don't want damage. But an earthquake that's 8.8, they're talking about tsunamis. Although I keep hearing the tsunami warnings without seeing the tsunami. Early this morning, I was watching a local news station in Hawaii, and they had a camera on the beach, and the surf went out, and they were like, "Oh, there it is! It's going out. Is it going to come back?" I mean, there seems to be a lot of wishful thinking for a tsunami by the media. Shame on them. I mean, remember, the real tsunamis are pretty bad, and we don't know what's going to happen here. But do the media seem to want a tsunami? They want that visual for some reason. But anyway, this earthquake in Russia that caused the tsunami alerts, whether or not the tsunamis come, hopefully they don't. If the damage is bad, if this earthquake was not at 8.8, hit a populated area and did damage, and was not in the middle of nowhere, because Russia is a big, big country. When the Soviet Union was intact, the Soviet Union took up 1/3 of the land of the planet. I mean, that with the Soviet Union. Modern day Russia, I don't know what percentage, but they had 1/3 of all the land when it was the Soviet Union. No wonder, Putin wants to put it back together. But if the earthquake caused a lot of damage and they need help, maybe that would be the opening to end this endless war. All right, let's take some of these calls. Our number is 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. It's Greg.
Hey, Greg. What's up?
Listen, listen, I agree with you. Israel's got to turn around this PR, nightmare that, everyone's buying into it. Well, when you see poor kids starving, how could you not, right?
Exactly. Whether or not it's true or not, even if it's propaganda, they're losing the PR war.
Yeah. And definitely. And obviously Donald Trump can't get Netanyahu to do, Trump underestimated all these leaders, from Putin to Netanyahu. He thought he was going to be able to get things turned around. They just listened to him, and guess what? They said, no, thank you.
Well, with Netanyahu, my thinking with the way I see Netanyahu these days is he's been prime minister off and on since Clinton was president, and this is probably the last time he's going to be prime minister. And because not just because of his age, but he's got some legal problems and everything in Israel. And he's becoming, Captain Ahab with Gaza and Hamas being Moby Dick to him, it seems a lot. I mean, it just seems to be an obsession. And he doesn't seem to be too rational, in my opinion, and open to reason. And Trump seems very annoyed with him.
Well, most definitely, because he's not listening to him. Mm-hmm. But another topic, in a serious way, why do you think President Trump would throw out that comment after weeks of Epstein conversations that he stole young female, workers from his spot. Why would he all of a sudden say that when he hasn't said it for weeks?
I don't know. He's just, President Trump just says what's on his mind. He says whatever he's thinking, and he said it. I don't think there's much reason either way about it.
You know what? I think if he would have said that comment 2 weeks ago when this whole firestorm started, say, listen, I didn't like Epstein. I eliminated him from my club. He took employees from my, Mar-a-Lago.
That's not how I took it. This was an addition to what he said. He said he hired away the teenage girl, then he hired away more, and then somebody told him what he was up to when he hired more away. I mean, that's it. I mean,
But don't you think, listen, they're in those same circles in Palm Beach. Don't you think President Trump heard Epstein was like, had an island and, flew girls out
A lot of
there?
people have
You don't
islands.
think he ever heard about
David Copperfield had an island. A lot of rich people own islands.
I'm not saying the island in itself. People, listen, there were rumors about Epstein.
Johnny Depp owned an island, right? And maybe he still does. I don't know if he lost it.
Yeah, but they're not hauling young girls out there.
Yeah, but no, you don't know until you know. You don't know until you know. And when people are, I got to run for the top of the hour break. I'm out of time, Greg. But we only have 5 seconds left. So if you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. You don't know till you know. And people hide when they're doing creepy, illegal things at that level. It's the Steve Kane Show. 1 hour to go. We'll be right back. Hey, I'm going to put you on hold for a minute. Okay. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
We got about 90 seconds. Oh, hold on, Steve. Okay, you there?
Yes.
Okay. 1 minute. All right, we're back. The third hour has begun. I'm Brian. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio until Friday, when we'll start celebrating 49 years on the radio. And Steve Kane back with us today. Hey, Steve.
Hey, how you doing? What's going on in Israel?
Well, a lot is going on a lot of different fronts, but I'll since I mentioned that, I'll just come back to you. Well, I was talking, there's a couple things, and one of our callers I thought made an interesting point yesterday at the end of the show. Anytime I see President Trump asked specifically about Netanyahu, he seems annoyed with Netanyahu. And I think he was annoyed with him over Iran. Remember, he made a strike after the truce, and he was ticked off. And he doesn't seem to be too happy with the Gaza situation. You know, the United States, Trump's sending lots of aid into Gaza. Hamas is stealing most of it, but he's in there. You know, people are starving in there, according to the president. And what I was talking about is, we're strong supporters of Israel, of course, but public opinion of a lot of the media and people who support Israel are starting to waver a little bit over this siege of Gaza.
Are you saying public opinion here or public opinion in Israel?
Here. I don't know about Israel. I'm talking about here. And people that support Israel are, we don't like to see starving children and babies. And whether or not those stories are true or propaganda, Israel is starting to lose public support, I sense. And
if I understand the situation correctly, let me just pass this off here to see if I'm too far off base. Basically, what Donald has decided is that he's going to let Netanyahu handle it.
Yeah, but they got to. Israel is, and I am not attacking. It pains me to even talk about this because I support Israel so much, and that attack at the music festival was medieval, and it's even.
We all support Israel.
Yeah, well, not everybody does, Steve. There's a lot of anti-Semites out there these days, and sadly, there's a lot of conservatives that don't support Israel because they don't understand what's going on. But one of our callers at the end of yesterday's show made a good point, and I think it was JJ. I could be wrong. I think it was JJ, who calls a lot. He's a regular. He said it's like in Vietnam, right? We were winning the fighting in Vietnam, but the United States lost public support for the war, and that's what cost us the war. And this is like I think we're in the very, very, very early phases of Israel losing public support because of the siege of Gaza and because people are seeing the starving children.
In this country, you're saying?
Yeah.
You're saying in this country?
Yeah. And supporting this, we're basically all Israel's got so far as support. The rest of the world hate Jews so much. You know how that goes. So Netanyahu's got to do something to end at least the perception that people are being starved out. And, and a lot of that's because Hamas is stealing all the relief that we're dropping in there. I get that.
Well, part of the problem is it's true.
Yeah. But that's not the public perception. People don't hear that. What they hear is Israel's not letting food in. That's what people are hearing. So if that is not corrected, Israel could lose this war. If they lose support publicly from people that historically support Israel, they could be in trouble. They got to do something to correct that. I don't have the answer, but it's what I'm seeing.
Well, there are only two choices: go in and get them out or not.
Yeah.
Up till now, they've decided not to do that.
Yeah.
But there's only one choice or the other. It doesn't seem very complex.
Listen, President Trump is sending tens of millions of dollars in aid every day. I don't know. When you're talking about house to house, there's not a lot of houses, rubble to rubble fighting in an urban area with civilians, it's a tough thing. I mean, I don't know. Even if they increase the relief drops by 10 times, Hamas would still be... They steal it so they can sell it, Trump says. It's just Netanyahu and Israel are in a bad spot right now. And the siege of Gaza is going to turn public opinion against them hardcore if they don't do something about it. That's all. It was more a mention other than a long discussion, but that's, I'm just starting to see opinion turn against Israel a little bit at a time. And it's the hungry children, hungry babies. People don't like that.
Yes. The skeletal looking.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it's like when they bring on those commercials of the animals that need help in the shelters. I turn away, and that's what's happening out of Israel. So that's a problem for Netanyahu. He's got to. I don't know what to do about it, but he's got to. I'm not the prime minister of Israel. He's got to figure out what to do. But there's a few other things going on. I don't know if you had somewhere you wanted to go or.
No, go ahead. You take it
okay,
away.
Now
leaving your judgment.
Okay, we didn't get a chance to talk about this yesterday, and there's been some updates on this terrorist attack in New York City the day before yesterday.
Right.
And with the media, I tell you, the media, no matter how much people say the mainstream television media is irrelevant, it's all about the new media. That's just not true. The mainstream media that everybody says has no influence, they have influence when they want to. And they have crafted a narrative on this shooting in New York City that is being accepted now as the gospel. The day of the event, which was day before yesterday, when the shooter was still on the loose, and the NYPD released a photograph in the daylight in color, and you could see the guy was black. CNN was reporting that he was a white guy, right? I mean, they got a lot of heat for that. But the original reporting on the day of this event, which was 2 days ago, witnesses said that the shooter was yelling "Free Palestine." He was yelling "Free Palestine."
And then that plot line kind of disappeared.
Yeah. So and that was more than one person who said he was saying "Free Palestine." Then the office building where he attacked, there is I couldn't believe that there's a global intifada target list. That office building is number 5 on the global intifada target list. I saw it myself. So then
that's a first for me. I never heard that before.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? So he's yelling "Free Palestine" according to the people that were there, and it's target number 5 on the global intifada target list. They got a lot of targets in New York City. The Muslims hate New York City. They just do. 9/11, the First Trade Center, this. And I wake up today and do the show prep, and I hear the story is he's a mental patient, which, by the way, all murderers and terrorists and stuff pretty much are mental. To go out and do these things, you have to have a screw loose. But he's a mental patient it was really an attack on the NFL over their brain injury response.
I read that's in this morning's New York Post.
I don't buy any of that crap. This was an Islamic terrorist attack, and if he's yelling "Free Palestine" and all this business, and and I believe they're covering it up because Zohan's Muslim, and they got a new poll out this morning, which I don't know how accurate it is. I haven't had a chance to look through the methodology of the poll, but they say that Zohan is polling above all the other candidates combined. And they're calling this an NFL attack because they got this Muslim guy that they're trying to make the mayor of New York City. And that story with the eyewitnesses that he was yelling "Free Palestine" and the global intifada target list are gone now. And this is all because of the mainstream media that everyone claims has no influence anymore. That's just not the case. They do have influence. Look at what they've done with this case. So no, I still stick with the original reporting that it was Islamic terrorism. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
I don't know. It's such a mess. It's when Donald is involved, things seem to go smoothly, and then when circumstances dictate that he take his hands off for the moment and let Israel take the lead, everything goes to hell in the handbasket.
Well, with this,
the guy's also claiming that he got this disease, which is a football. Did you talk about that?
Yeah, they claim he's got that football disease that he thinks he played in the NFL. I don't.
And he's never played in the NFL.
Well, why was he yelling "Free Palestine"?
Because he's a nutcase.
It was a terrorist attack. It was. I don't believe it was a NFL attack. It was a terrorist attack. You know, Zohan. Do you know about Zohan's wedding over the weekend?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've been talking about this. I talked about this yesterday, but I'll just recap it a little bit because you weren't here yesterday. Zohan married his girlfriend that he lives with in Queens. They lived in Queens together for a while. And
right. They got married in Africa.
He went to Uganda at the family compound, got married. They had They had Ugandan military special forces who were wearing masks protecting the wedding. And they had cell phone jamming devices in place, so cell phones wouldn't work at the wedding. So you got to ask yourself, this guy's running for mayor. The girl looks like a normal girl. Why did he go to Uganda and get married in secret with cell phone jamming and special forces, masked special forces, army security, and not have some beautiful New York City wedding where it would have been covered in all the New York media as this beautiful event while he's running for mayor? It seems a little odd, doesn't it? You know?
Well, I think he did that because he had more control doing it in Uganda than here.
Or he didn't. I think he got married because he doesn't want people to think he's gay. Okay, he's running for mayor, and I think he's lived with her.
It's always nice as a candidate to have an attractive wife on your arm.
Well, I don't think he had the wedding here because he didn't want them to see the Muslim wedding. I'm sure it was a Muslim wedding, whatever that is, however they do it. But it just seems a little strange to me because if he would have done the wedding here, he lives in Queens with her, okay? They live together in an apartment in Queens. If he would have gotten married in New York City, the media would have given him incredible coverage, like it was the most beautiful wedding of the year. Why would he kiss off all that great media coverage of a wedding and go do it in secret with cell phone jamming devices and army guard? There's something up with that. It's very weird what he did. I don't know. But
he's a very, very weird dude.
That's for sure. You wouldn't know it by the media because they're trying to act like he's just your typical American guy.
Yeah, right.
All right, now listen, if you're on hold, stand by. I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. We were talking about our 10th annual cruise coming up in March. I first went to Coastal Weight Loss Secret because I wanted to trim down for our last cruise. I wanted to lose 25 pounds before the cruise. I met with Dr. Zuckerman a month before the cruise. I lost the weight in 3 weeks. I lost about a pound a day. Isn't that something? No exercise, eating foods I would normally eat, no prescription medications like Ozempic. And now that I've lost over 35 pounds. Now that I'm in the maintaining phase, it's so easy because I didn't have any big lifestyle shifts with exercise and eating weird foods or starving myself. I didn't have to do any of that or medications. And since now I'm in the maintaining phase, that's a breeze. I haven't gained an ounce back because I didn't have these unlastable lifestyle changes. If I had to go to the gym 3 or 4 days a week, forget about it. If I had to eat food that I hated or starve myself, forget about it. I'd gain the weight back. But I haven't gained anything back. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel, okay? Here's the number, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back. We have about 30 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, man. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. It is the Steve Kane Show. So Friday, August 1st begins the 49th year of the Steve Kane Show, Steve.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. That's a long
Seems
time.
like only yesterday.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, well, you know, just so people know, you started in 1977 in Orlando, Florida, and then in 83 moved to Miami. So
That sounds about right.
yeah, yeah. Someone sent me a tape that they told me was you in 1977, but it didn't sound. I played you the tape. This was a couple years ago. It didn't sound like you to me, and you didn't. You said it wasn't you either. But if any, I don't have any tape of you from '77. If anybody does, get in touch with me. I'd be curious to hear about it. All right, you want to take a call or two?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
What's
How you
up,
doing? I'm just
Brian?
calling to follow up. Well, I'm just calling to follow up on my Vietnam call from yesterday.
Oh, that was you. I said
Now-
JJ, so it was Brian from Deerfield.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I know.
man. It was Brian from Deerfield.
what-
I apologize.
That's okay, Brian. You know, what we learned from watching this is that Israel is brilliant. They're brilliant military strategists. They're brilliant at carrying out a military campaign, but not so good in the public relations following that campaign. And if you don't have an equal victory in the public relations thing, did you really win a victory?
Yeah.
And it's so important because, you know, I guess there's a tendency to feel that, well, we won the military campaign, everything's okay now. But it's not. It's not. You've got to follow through with the public relations side, or else it's kind of a hollow victory. And I think Israel's got to be very, very careful about that. You know,
Well,
because,
it's, you know, Netanyahu, this is what I was talking to Greg before the top of the hour. I don't know how many times Netanyahu's been prime minister, but he's been prime minister off and on since Clinton was president. And this is probably the last time. And he knows that. And,
I think so.
And so,
I think so.
And so he wants to wipe out Iran and Hamas at this, you know, in this time around. And it's just not. He's got to back off, or they're going to lose. They're going to lose. Israel will lose if they don't back off.
They will. They will, and I'm sure they realize it. But it's like the public relations end of the military and the government is not as good as the military side. It's the IDF, and that's something that really has to be corrected fairly soon. 'Cause
I'll tell you, there's part of it is, and I know there's a lot of people in Israel that don't like Netanyahu. I get that, but Netanyahu and a lot of Israelis are in a bubble. And they really don't see. They get their news, you know. And I have good friends that are Jews. They get their news from Israel, and they get in this bubble, and they don't realize what's going on around the world. Hey, listen, Brian. I appreciate the call though, and you made some good points. Another thing, Steve. President Trump's back now in the United States, so every time he comes back from these trips, he does something big. So I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be. He's pushing to get his judges confirmed right now. That seems to be pretty important, and we can see what's going on. But there was I want to take another call or two, but just to make a mental note, Bongino and Kash Patel have been doing something that's getting no reporting that I found out about yesterday by accident, and I'll tell you what that is in a few minutes. Okay, but I'm going to take another call or two before we do that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Lou from Western Pennsylvania.
Hey, Lou, what's on? What's up?
Oh, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Okay.
I got two things for you. I'm just jumping in here. When do you think the first indictments are coming? I'm thinking 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. Indictments of who, and where do you get that time frame?
Well, who's going to be indicted?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Comey, Clapper, and Brennan are in big trouble. We may get Hillary, but I doubt we'll get Obama. But,
You're not going to get Hillary. But Brennan and yesterday, John Solomon, he is like the main source of what's going on. He did an interview yesterday, John Solomon, and the CIA director John Ratcliffe is about to drop he's declassifying a bunch of information. It's going to come out this week through Tulsi Gabbard on the Crossfire Hurricane, the dossier and Steele and stuff. And I think you might be right. We're gonna get a Brennan indictment. I'm expecting a Brennan indictment. Comey, I don't know. But Brennan is, remember Trump took away his security clearance.
All those guys are fair game at this point.
Yeah. I think you may be right on that. But forget about Hillary. And we're not gonna get a former first lady is not gonna get indicted. And you really don't want to do that.
It complicates things too much.
Yeah, it puts them in the Democrats would start to rally around that. And if we were to indict Hillary Clinton, she's a criminal. She's a scummy person. But if you indicted Hillary, when Trump's out of office, they're going to indict Melania. You know that, right? And we don't want that. You gotta take your losses. The idea of indicting Hillary is not good.
Yeah, lots involved here, so much involved, but I'm staying with it, and I know you men are right on it. Brian, you are number one MAGA.
Okay, I appreciate it. Oh, but let me tell you while you're on the line. This is what I was going to tell you, Steve. I read an article in the Atlantic magazine, which no one reads, but I read it yesterday. I came across this article on the Drudge Report. They did this PR piece on an FBI agent who just left the FBI. And it's a very long human interest story as if he's some kind of hero. And he tells the story. Dan Bongino, he got a call from his supervisor. Dan Bongino called this FBI agent's supervisor. He was a special agent in charge at one of the offices in Virginia. He's a 15-year veteran of the FBI. Bongino found out that he is still good best friends with Peter Strzok. Remember Peter Strzok, that creep?
Oh, yes.
And Peter Strzok...
Don't forget Peter.
Oh, yeah. So, and earlier this week, Peter Strzok deleted all of his tweets on his entire Twitter. So he's afraid he's going to get indicted, and he didn't want that out there. So this guy is still best friends with Peter Strzok after everything. And Bongino called his supervisor and asked him about it. The guy quit. And he told The Atlantic, I quit. I'm not going to take a lie detector test. And so I left on my own terms. So what that told me is Bongino and Kash Patel behind the scenes are draining the swamp of these poisoned people. Who is friends with Peter Strzok, who works with the FBI today? Somebody who's still working against Trump. That's who. And I was very surprised to see. I put that story on my X, guys, if you guys follow me there. So Kash and Bongino are doing a lot more than we realize. It's just deep stuff behind the scenes that they're not bragging about. All right, caller. Appreciate the call. All right, take care. And I appreciate the compliments, too.
Interesting theory.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I want to tell you guys, big special at MyPillow.com. The original MyPillow that started it all with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, less than $20. Lowest price ever. It's the pillow I sleep on every night. The original MyPillow I bought is the original MyPillow that started it all. I paid $65 for mine over 10 years ago. Now you can get it for less than $20 with the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. You know, I take my MyPillow on the cruises with us too. So go to mypillow.com, use our promo code Kane, get the MyPillow that started it all, the one I sleep on every night, for less than $20. We'll be right back. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve, for a couple minutes. Bottom of the hour.
Okay.
All right, Steve, about a minute.
Okay. Don't lose me.
I won't. Have I yet? All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane's here. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. There's a couple of things I wanted to mention to you, Steve. These are tiny things, but they're going on. The Trump cabinet are tight. It's a tight group of people. And most of them are friends.
It appears that way.
Yeah, most of them are friends, not just from Fox, but they've been in the Mar-a-Lago bubble the last 4 years. So they're very tight. And the Democrats and the Never-Trumpers, all the the usual suspects, the media, they're always trying to turn us against people in the cabinet, right? I mean, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. There's a story out today that it's a part of this. I don't know if you've seen it yet because it's just starting. It just kind of like started floating around last night. But you may see a story today, or you may have already seen it, that Pete Hegseth is thinking about running for office and leaving the Pentagon. I'm going to call BS on that one. I'm going to call BS on that one, okay? There was a story over the weekend. Might have been the end of last week, but there was a story over the weekend that I saw that there was a coup inside the Pentagon attempt. There was a failed coup attempt against Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon recently with civilian and high-ranking officers who were working to try to get him fired. That obviously went nowhere. Trump doesn't want anyone to leave. Remember, Bongino was threatening to quit a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And Trump called him and told him don't do it. And one of the reasons Trump doesn't want people to quit is because it's bad PR. I mean, they have a tight thing. And I think,
but his opponents, though, I'm with everything you're saying, but his opponents though have been targeting Hegseth from the beginning because they view Hegseth as the weak link in the administration.
And I think the opposite is true.
Hegseth to get to Trump.
Pete Hegseth, he's very strong. He, all the officers that he used to salute are saluting him now, and he's got the dream job that he's always wanted. And I think that the Never-Trumpers, the old Republican, I think they're trying to buy him off. I think they're trying to get him to run and leave. They want him out of. He's been making big moves in the Pentagon, and it's hitting the military-industrial complex donors. It's hitting the social justice warriors, and I think they're trying to buy him off with a run for office and get him out of the Pentagon. I'd be shocked if he did that, and I hope he doesn't. The thing with a lot of these guys, I was surprised to learn he was making like $3 million a year at Fox doing the weekends. Or so, I couldn't believe it. And these jobs in the government don't pay anywhere near that. They pay in the low six figures. So a lot of these guys that don't have the family wealth that goes way back, it's probably tough for them to take the pay cut. So I think they view him as vulnerable and are trying to get him away to run for public office and tell him he can get that money back. I don't believe that he's thinking about leaving Trump. I just don't believe it. He's not done making these big moves and ending all this wokeness in the military. is a big priority for him that he's only just started. And I think the establishment have realized they can't get to him, so they're trying to buy him now. Right? It's like they're trying to buy him off with this. That's my guess. I just don't think he's thinking of leaving the Pentagon. There's no way. Now, there's another concern I have, and that's with Charlie Kirk. And I love Charlie Kirk, okay? But he screwed up a couple weeks ago. All this Epstein stuff started because of him. He had his Turning Point USA event, and he started on stage ranting about it, and he got the crowd riled up. And everybody after him, Laura Ingraham, Bannon, Tucker, all of them, they heard that crowd. They wanted the same thing, so they came out and started yelling Epstein. And all this endless talk about Jeffrey Epstein is because of Charlie Kirk. I mean, he messed up. And I saw him do a retraction on his show about it about 5 days later, and it looked like a hostage video. He had gotten so much negative blowback from people that he didn't look well when he did his retraction. He looked like hell. But he has moved into a new realm of things that I've not seen Charlie Kirk do. The first one I mentioned earlier, he was hosting Fox and Friends the other day. You may have seen it. It was the weekend. He was doing the Fox and Friends thing, which is an unusual thing for him to do. And then I saw he's going to appear on an episode of South Park. Now, I've never watched South Park. I've tried to years ago when everyone talked about it.
South Park is a fun show.
Is it? I could never get into it. But I don't know. They seem to be kind of like, I don't know if nonpartisan is the right word, but they make fun of everybody. But he's but he's going on. He's going to play himself on South Park. He's going to voice his own thing. So Charlie Kirk is now getting into the realm of television stardom. Fox and Friends. Now he's doing South Park, and his mind seems a little distracted. And like with Pete Hegseth, I don't know if these forces are moving in and trying to buy him out of his. Charlie Kirk with Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA is the most important conservative political action activist group this country has ever seen. We've had groups before that helped us. The NRA, a little bit. I mean, remember our run-in with Wayne LaPierre, Steve? Oh, my goodness.
With who?
Wayne LaPierre. He used to be the president of the NRA. Remember?
Oh, yes. He's a piece of work.
This guy's a beaut. We had... This was a long time ago. This is before the Trump era. We had Wayne LaPierre on the show. And his assistant told me to have Steve call him Mr. President because he was the president of the NRA. Can you believe that? And Mr. President, yes, Mr. President, and President LaPierre. I couldn't believe that. And then later when we found out how he ran the NRA, he thought he was, So. And we were taking calls. We had Wayne LaPierre while he was president of the NRA, and we were taking calls and live on the air like we always do. And and anybody who, we're always screenless. We put liberals and conservatives on with him. During the show, his assistant called me and demanded that we stop putting liberals on with President LaPierre. And remember? I know. President LaPierre. And
his people.
And I said that's what we do. Okay, we come on, if we take calls, we take them from everybody. And then we got on the NRA blacklist. They told us, you will never have President LaPierre on your program again. You'll never have anyone from the NRA on again. You're on the blacklist. I don't know if we're still on the blacklist. That was a long time ago. And they had that problem with that Russian spy seductress, too, at that convention years ago. So they may have new...
Ross Perot isn't still alive, is he?
No, not Ross Perot. Wayne LaPierre. No, Wayne LaPierre.
Wayne LaPierre.
I don't... Wayne LaPierre, I think he's still alive. I don't know if he's still at the NRA. I don't know. But anyway, back to the Charlie Kirk thing. We've had other activist groups for conservatives, right? The NRA, we had the Christian Coalition. And I'm not saying that the Christian Coalition and the NRA did not do good stuff. They did. But no conservative activist organization has done what Charlie Kirk has done. You know, Charlie Kirk with Turning Point USA has turned young people for the first time into Republicans. And when I was growing up, the young Republicans, they all looked like Ben Shapiro, dorks, right? They wore khakis, penny loafers, and blue shirts. They looked like they worked at Blockbuster Video. And now the cool kids are the ones that are conservative. And it's all because of Charlie Kirk. And what I'm worried about with Charlie Kirk, now that he's getting into television, right, that he's moving away from the day-to-day running of this organization that is so important. You know, he's turned the young vote is now a Republican voting bloc because of Charlie Kirk. And if he starts doing television and Turning Point becomes kind of like a sideline that he leaves to other people, it could lose its effectiveness. Because Turning Point is a lot of it revolves around Charlie Kirk's personality. And if he starts doing Fox and South Park, and who knows, maybe he'll be on Big Brother next. I don't know. But if he gets away from it, it could do us some damage. And I just don't want Charlie Kirk to leave Turning Point and become a TV star. It's too important.
The only one that's going to keep Charlie Kirk in line is Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, I hope President Trump speaks to him about this, because we cannot afford to lose him. And like with Pete Hegseth, see, we've got a great bench of people. Charlie Kirk, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Marco, JD. We got a long list of great people. And this thing I was telling you about with Pete Hegseth, I think they might be trying to entice him and buy him away. Are they trying to, maybe they're trying to do the same thing with Charlie Kirk? I don't know, but we don't want to lose our people like this. We cannot afford to lose Charlie Kirk at Turning Point. We just can't. The TV stardom, and I know fame and fortune is, see, you know, Turning Point is a donor-based organization for the most part. They got a lot of ways to make money. I mean, they do those conventions all the time. But I always sense that I listen to Charlie's podcast on occasion. He seems to be under a lot of financial pressure, okay? And between elections, donors slow down on their donations, you know? And somebody like that can fall prey to television offers. You know what I mean? So they could be trying to get him away from that. Now, I want to tell everybody about Dr. Appleton. Oh, man. What would my life be like if it were not for Dr. Appleton, right? I'd have arthritis pains. Have you ever had arthritis, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Out of all the pains I've had, arthritis to me was I don't have the pain anymore. Dr. Appleton rid me of my arthritis. I had it in my hand. It was so bad, I was almost in tears. So bad. And I remember I had the pains, and I thought that I had jammed my finger. You know how you jam your finger playing basketball and stuff? I thought I jammed my finger. And I was in so much pain, I was almost in tears. I went to Dr. Appleton. He examined me, and he says, it's arthritis. I thought I was done, right? I thought I was done, especially in my fingers, because I remember like I had a great-grandmother that had the arthritis in her fingers, and her knuckles were huge, and her hands were, you know what I'm talking about when you got that? And when he told me that, I mean, I was devastated when Dr. Appleton told me that I had arthritis in the fingers. I was like, oh. He's like, no, man. He says the laser treatment treats the arthritis. He rid me of arthritis pain in my finger. It's amazing. I have no pain, and it's been, I don't know, a year and a half, and it's gone. It's gone. You know, when I went to Attorney Barry Siegel's workshop a couple weeks ago, a listener asked to examine my finger with the arthritis. I couldn't. It's a little weird, huh? But I let them do it. They're like, yeah, it's gone. I was like, yeah, it's gone. Give Dr. Appleton a call. Say bye-bye to your pain. Appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, and Dr. Appleton performs all the treatments himself. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back with the Gold Report. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve, while I get William. Hold on. Hey there, hold on. All right, you there, Steve?
Yes, I am.
We got 1 minute. Okay, hold on. Put you on hold for a second. Okay, you there, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to get William in a second. Hold on. We got 30 seconds. All right, William, we have 20 seconds, William, so stand by.
Okay.
All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how the metals looking today?
Metals looking good, Brian. The nice gains yesterday on all four metals. Gold trading in a range yesterday of 33.07 on the low to 33.34 on the high, closing out the day at $3,325.20. That was up $11.40 after just touching the support level of $3,300 on Monday. That's showing good strength still in the same trading ranges we've been in for quite a while, but certainly building a very strong foundation for the metals and gold above $3,300 an ounce. Yesterday we saw silver close up 2 cents at $38.11. Platinum was up $7 at $1,394, and palladium gained $21 at $1,255. Overnight, we've seen gold trade in a range of $3,321 on the low, all the way up to $33.35. Right now, gold's unchanged at $33.25.20, unchanged from yesterday's close. Silver down 26 cents right now at $37.85. Platinum down $4 at $1,390. And palladium gaining $10 at $1,265. Both platinum and palladium have been behaving very well and showing some good strength, support, and acting pretty much like they want to go higher.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all those prices are great. I mean, silver is just under $38 an ounce. That's amazing. That's amazing. Listen, yeah. William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. His address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway, on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And when you go into the building, William Youngerman's shop is right across the lobby from the bank. You can't miss it. His number, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010, and online, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you.
All right, take care. All right, I got a bit of I was a little inaccurate on my South Park thing, Steve. I got an updated story. I guess the original story I read was inaccurate. Charlie's not doing the voice. So they're doing on South Park. They have somebody else doing it, but he did do the Fox and Friends. And the Fox and so he's not doing his voice on South Park. They just have somebody else playing him. But the Fox and Friends, which he did very well on, seemed to be an audition to me. You know, because when he did it, he even rode like they did all kinds of activities outside of the studio. It was an audition. I don't care what anybody says, that Charlie Kirk was auditioning for a Fox show. And I want him success, don't misunderstand me. But if he becomes a Fox star, Turning Point becomes secondary, and we need Turning Point. Because he does his afternoon show every day. There's only so many hours in the day. He can't do his show, run Turning Point, and then have a Fox show. He can't do it. It's too much. All right, so I'm glad that they didn't hire him at South Park. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hello? Hey! Good morning, Ivy. Uncle Steve, nice to see you're okay, my friend.
Hey, Ivy.
Brian, wow, I couldn't get on for 2 weeks, man. I'm like, either you're really busy or my numbers was disconnected or something, man. I'm so happy to be on. Nice to hear you guys.
No, the show's hot. The show's hot.
Yeah, it's
got to be a busy line right away after 16 years of listening. Oh, my goodness. 2 points really quickly and coming up on the end of time. When a guy called us about 4 years ago, and he says he wants the Democrats to divide the country in half, and the Democrats live on one side and Republicans live on the other side, I would like to know how he would do that. How you divide it, straight up, straight down, or sideways, and then you get the oceans on both sides. Who's going to choose where to go? It's another fight. Then you had Chris from. Am I still on?
Yeah.
Then you had Chris from Deerfield. Chris said it best. The Democrats also get the benefits of the wins that Trump is doing. And I also agree with Chris that I wish they can go on their own side of whatever they choose and live there in their squalor and let us prosper. The opposite of win is lose. And they are falling down they're falling in the quicksand, and they don't have...
You're right. And since you've been trying to get in for 2 weeks, don't worry, I won't hang up on you that fast. I'll give you some extra time, IB. Trying to get in for 2 weeks. I gotta appreciate that dedication. It's like this. Trump just made this $1 trillion with a T deal with the EU. How can you argue against that? I was watching CNN, and they're depressed over it. They're saying, well, it's only saving so much. Well,
Well, of course they're depressed about it. They're anti-Trump.
I mean, but there's certain things, Steve, that you can't argue against. A trillion...
Well, I think what you're saying is they are arguing against it. What do you think Rachel Maddow show is about?
I don't watch that.
A couple of topics like Jeffrey Epstein and that kind of stuff. Their world is falling apart.
Yeah.
Brian, you've used the phrase sometimes when you like the girlfriend maybe cheats, the guy catch the girlfriend cheating. They've been lied to in a way that they don't understand that they've been cheated on, and now they don't want to deal with that realization that they've been lied to, and they don't know how to come to the grips of that. And then you have the other front. You have the Islamic front. So we have all these things attacking us at once. To make a long story short, Trump is fighting different things happening at the same time, not just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got the illegals, we got Hamas, we got the domestic situation. Okay, we still have the gun violence. We have all these things going on, but you know what? They can't deal with the wins. We're gonna win, and when they hear that, they go la 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 la, and they're gonna call in, and that's why they unhinge when they call into the show, because there's no retort for the reality and the fact in their face that they've been bamboozled.
Well put.
All right, IB, good to talk to you. All right, appreciate it. I'm going to go buy some jeans this weekend at the American Eagle Outfitter. I need new jeans because I lost all this weight. But, because of that new campaign, I think I'm going to go to American Eagle Outfitter and buy some jeans. They sell men's jeans too, guys. Don't worry. But I wanted to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret for a moment. I've lost over 35 pounds. If you want to lose less, if you want to lose 20 pounds, if you want to lose 50, 100, 250, 350, or anywhere in between, Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help. I lost about a pound a day. About a pound a day without exercising, without drugs, and eating foods I would normally eat, and without starving. And those of you that are longtime listeners of the program, around this time of day, you would hear me all the time say, oh, I'm starving. I can't wait to get off the air so I can eat. You don't hear that anymore, do you? No. I've lost all this weight. I didn't starve myself. Now I'm in the maintain phase, and I'm still not hungry. I'm just eating normally, eating foods I would normally eat, Wings Plus, places like that. And it's awesome, and you can do the same. We've had listeners, Steve, from all over the United States call Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and they're losing weight. So you can too. No matter where you're located, give them a call. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel, 561-247-6300, 561-247-6300, and online, coastalweightlossecret.com. But I was thinking about this Rachel Maddow. This Russian collusion stuff, a lot's coming out. Before you joined the show this morning, Steve, James O'Keefe got some documents leaked to him that Adam Schiff, who was one of the big Russiagate big mouths, that he was working out of an office at the CIA in Langley. Yeah. I was surprised. In person, they had Adam Schiff at Langley. I didn't know. And, Rachel Maddow, she was the #1 media person on the left with the Russia hoax. Every night for the whole Russia, every night. That's how she ended up doing one night a week. She had a nervous breakdown when it was debunked. She did. I'm not joking. And I'm wondering.
I think they're all having nervous breakdowns now.
Well, I'm wondering who she was working with and who was feeding her all that fake information she was broadcasting every night about the Russiagate. I wonder if she's a part of the Russiagate, the Obama Russiagate crew. I would not be surprised.
She has access to the files.
How? Well, then somebody was giving it to her. I'd like to know who that was. No? You know, President Trump yesterday, he was asked by a reporter about Obama being impeached. He says, no, he's not president anymore, but he said something needs to be done. He said something needs to be done. It needs to be made known what he did. So, you know, when we get if we get these indictments of Brennan, Comey, Clapper, Peter Strzok obviously thinks he's going to be indicted because he deleted all of his tweets that go back forever, right? That's how we'll find out, because those charges and trials are going to be public, and they're not going to make any deals because they want discovery in court, you know. And people are going to when one of the reasons Trump won is a lot of people became Trump supporters when Trump got shot in Butler, and I believe the same people shot Trump that shot Kennedy. I believe it was an inside job by the United States. I believe, and I think most people believe that. I think a lot of people, Steve, woke up and said, you know what? They are trying to get him. Everything that I've heard from all these MAGA people and Trump all these years is true. They are trying to get him. The lawfare is true. It's all true. And when he got shot in Butler, and when these indictments come around of these Obama coup conspirators on the Russiagate, that's going to wake even more people up. And Devin Nunes said something that I've been telling you guys for the last 2 years. And this is now because he's in the know. He's an advisor to the president, so they've seen the documents. Devin Nunes told Bartiromo a couple of days ago on Fox, the break into Mar-a-Lago, they were looking for the files that Tulsi Gabbard declassified. I've been telling you guys that. Devin Nunes said the same thing, and he knows for a fact they thought Trump had copies of all those documents of the Obama coup in his safe at Mar-a-Lago. That's what the whole break-in was about. That's why they brought the safecracker and broke into the safe. All right.
Sounds very plausible to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're out of time for today, but we'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. We have 2 more days, tomorrow and Thursday, of the 48th year celebration of the Steve Kane Show. And then Friday, on Open MAGA Mike Friday, begins the 49th year of the Steve Kane Show on the radio, the longest-running radio show in the state of Florida. I believe this is the longest-running radio show in the United States with the same host. But that's a little more difficult for me to verify. But the Grand Ole Opry claims to have the longest-running radio show in America, but I don't think Minnie Pearl's still there. It's not with the same host, whatever they're doing. And that, you know, but I believe the Steve Kane Show is certainly, when you hit the 5-0, is going to be the longest-running radio show in America. I think we already are. Certainly I know for a fact the longest in Florida, and that's a record that won't be broken. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. All right, we're clear. Hey, listen, if you're new, make sure you subscribe, all right? And if you're already sub, please like the video and share the video on your socials. That helps so much, guys. Take care. I'll see you on the podcast.